What's going on, everybody? CFC DP here with yet another video. There has been so much news over the last 48 hours regarding Chelsea and their transfer targets. Michael Olise, the big fish everybody wants. Jean Duran, Ian Maatsen, Samu Omaradayan. There is so much coming out. Where will Chelsea go? Where will they focus their resources? And where should they focus their resources? But before we get started on this transfer news, I need you to go ahead and go to the link in the description below and follow Cy Phillips Talks Chelsea on Substack. You can subscribe now and get the latest transfer updates from Simon Phillips. He has sourced materials. There's player analysis for the Euros going on. There's an amazing podcast out, as well as a daily live blog where I personally spend most of my time waiting for the latest breaking transfer news to come out. So go ahead, find yourself into that description. Go ahead and subscribe today. So let's get into it right now. Where else to start but Operation Olise? As Fabrizio Romano, Simon Phillips, as many other people have said, personal terms are Chelsea's focus on the player, right? So getting personal terms finished up to a point where there is no other option for him, where he wants to come to Chelsea. We've agreed it. Now let's go get a deal done with Palace. And all reports suggest that Olise is open to staying in London, to moving to Chelsea. He appreciates the amount of love that Chelsea fans, the media, Chelsea themselves has given to the player, and he is seen as the #1 target for Chelsea this summer. As you can see in some of my earlier videos that I posted, Michael Olise fits really good in this team. You can imagine him as that touchline winger, left-footed, willing to cut in, get a shot off, willing to create. And now you're starting to look at that position of Madueke and Olise, and man, that is a lot of talent on that side to interchange with Cole Palmer, who's going to play as a more central 10, as reports have kind of come out. So now you're starting to look across the front line, and you're thinking Nicholas Jackson, Christopher Nkunku, Cole Palmer, Michael Olise, Noni Madueke, Mudryk, Sterling, Carney Chukwuemeka. There is a lot of talent up there. And Michael Olise could arguably be one of the crown jewels of that position alongside Cole Palmer. So it's easy to see how those two players could work in conjunction with each other. What I want to get into a little bit is, why does Olise fit Maresca's system? If you looked at how Maresca played at Leicester, Fatanwu was their right winger, and he frequently played touchline on that side and was really focused on getting to the byline, getting into the middle, using the dribble, and creating. Michael Olise can do that in waves. You know, he is a player where creativity is easy for him, scoring is easy for him, and he's prem proven. So that is why there's so many teams looking at the guy and saying, wow, that could be a amazing fit in our system. But Chelsea have the advantage at this point. So when you start to look at some of those interchanges, right, that's also something that's pretty cool. Say you have Reece James inverting, right? So Reece James is going to be up a little bit more centrally. You're going to see Reece, Olise, Cole Palmer operating in a little triangle on the right-hand side. And that's a really attractive proposition because creativity, goal scoring, shot making, there's so many defenders on that side. You have Nico Jackson kind of in the middle and Nkunku sort of on the left a little bit. Switches will be easy because there's going to be so many people attracted to that right-hand side. So Olise could be a really fantastic fit for this Chelsea team. The other big breaking news of yesterday was Ian Maatsen has been sold to Aston Villa for £37.5 million pending agreement with the player, which doesn't seem like it will be a problem from early reports. There's talks of a 6-year contract going on. And what this really is a PSR swap from Villa and Chelsea, right? So Fabrizio Romano also said in his later report that a player will be going from Aston Villa to Chelsea. So that got Chelsea Twitter in a whole fuss about who it might be. It's either going to be Jean Duran or an academy player. So people who are thinking Morgan Rogers, Jacob Ramsey, even Ollie Watkins, which would never happen, but it is going to be Duran or an academy player coming back the other way in 2 separate deals. Financially, this is important because Chelsea get £37.5 million of pure profit for Ian Maatsen, right? So that can be directly put into a big upfront payment on Olise, a big upfront payment on a striker. That money is crucial. And it's crucial that they get it done before June 30th. And why is that, right? Because Chelsea want to get Michael Olise done before this financial year is over, which is June 30th. Why? Because of the hotel and property sales, Chelsea are quite comfortably under those PSR rules. So Chelsea, in this instance, can give a bigger upfront payment on some transfer figures because they have that assured space. And Ian Maatsen only solidifies that. So let's say, I think the report was they were about 20 million under, maybe 15 million under PSR. Now you add 37.5 million in pure profit on that. Now you have 50 odd million to get a player and get them in this window where there is no risk of breaching PSR to all reports. So that would be amazing to see if they can get Olise locked up or a striker locked up before June 30th, because next year is a whole nother set of problems. And we won't talk about it until next year. But selling like Gallagher after the Euros, selling Broja after the Euros, that's all important because it's going to affect next year's PSR. So Chelsea have a couple more revenue streams. And then next year, the Conference League, which isn't a lot, but the Club World Cup is a lot. It's like 40 million that we're getting just for playing. And obviously, as you progress further, you can hopefully reach, a bigger financial payout. But let's talk a little bit about the player that could be coming back from Aston Villa. There's a few guys, and I touched on it on my article on Cy Phillips Talks Chelsea. And so let's get into those players a little bit. So as we can see here in my article on Cy Phillips Talks Chelsea, I went and talked about a few academy prospects from Aston Villa that might make a little sense for Chelsea to go look at. So let's get into it. The first one I want to talk about is Caden Young. Caden Young is a winger. He's 18 years old. He plays for he played for the U17 UEFA England squad. There isn't too much about these players, but from what I've seen, he is an extremely physical player, right? So loves physicality on the wings, loves to use his body, has good pace, can kind of play in a bunch of different roles. I've seen him play left, I've seen him play right, and sometimes even in an attacking midfield sense. Just a couple of clips on him just to showcase what he's all about, You could see him coming in the bottom left there. Good run in, really classy, easy finish for him on the right foot. And this is another great example of an assist for Caden here. So Caden, like I mentioned, he loves to use his physicality. I mean, he just bodies the guy up, is very calm, composed on it, and slides it in, So that's another really attractive trait about him. He actually, did a bit of number against Chelsea. We played Aston Villa, I think it was 2 years ago, and you could see him against Cucurella just bodying him up and, finding a guy. So really impressive from him. His size, his speed, his just physical maturity at his age is really attractive. My favorite of the prospects is Omari Kellerman. Omari is really interesting in the sense he's 6'2", also very physically mature for his age. Was playing with a Northern Ireland's under-17 team. Was good. He got the call to go to England where he has citizenship in, so he played with England's U19s. Another really nice player, really calm, really good finishing. Has the ability to really get on the end of crosses and really help it. I mean, look at this. Really good pass. And just very high football IQ. You could see here a really good header against Scotland, physically dominant for his age. So would that translate to a bigger stage eventually? Yes, probably. But there's a little time left to tell. But it's David Washington is there. You also have Dujon Richards in that same age group. So he is sort of not necessarily blocked, but that could be a consideration when deciding whether to use him or not. Jamal Jamoa is another guy that I really like. Chelsea have looked at him when he was at West Brom in the Abramovich era. Very physical, good run, and I know this is just a goal, but it just shows a little bit about his ability to fight off, be very physical, you know, good dribbler, very calm, and as we'll see here, a nice finish too. So another prospect. Tristan Rowe is another guy that you could look into. Right back, right-sided center back. Doesn't necessarily have a bunch of clips out there. But, you know, there's Josh Achimpyong who's there in that area, same age bracket, who I know Chelsea have really high stocks on. But he is just another option. If he were to, you know, move to center back, that's not one of Chelsea's deepest position in the youth ranks. So just a couple of names to sort of think about. Obviously, as the names start to trickle out who it is, we will get into more coverage over him. So overall, the window is going to be heating up a lot. There's been so much going on already. I did a full report on Pedro Lima before he flipped to Wolves, which was upsetting. But you never know in the transfer window. You got to do your due diligence. You got to try and fill that out. But it's never done until he's holding up the jersey and plays his first match for the team. So we'll have to see how that goes, kind of ebbs and flows. I do have some new content coming out shortly on the Cy Phillips Talks Chelsea Substack, so you can go ahead and check that out there. And I want to thank you. Please like, subscribe to the channel. Every bit of support is greatly appreciated. Have a great night.